Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 10,000 Roads to Financial Independence. And today I have Esteban Andrade with me. Esteban is a founder of Hesel Media, a lead generation agency that is committed to provide more leads and closing to real estate investors, wholesalers, and top producing real estate agents. Esteban comes from a background in engineer, graduated from Carleton University and certified in project management. He has years of experience as a project engineer and program manager, leading teams to design, product engineer, and brand development engineer in the automotive world. He started his advertising and marketing career right out of college when he moved to Detroit and fell in love with real estate. He learned firsthand about wholesaling real estate by helping one of the biggest foreign real estate investors in the city, sending him hundreds of opportunities in 5 months. This led to have a profit margin of approximately over 22x. This helped him generating about $650K of profit for his first REI client who specifically sold properties to foreign buyers in Detroit. Because his services are so in demand with top wholesaler, he has started a Facebook group called Real Estate Investing and Wholesaling Marketing Conversion Mastery. The group currently has over 1,500 members and is growing rapidly. Esteban currently runs a successful real estate investing marketing agency and has joint venture deals with many of his REI partners all over the USA. Welcome to our show, Esteban, today.
Thank you so much, Elisa, for having me here. I'm so excited for you being on your show.
That's awesome. So it's always exciting to have marketers on our team because this is a time where I get to ask a whole bunch of my selfish lead gen questions. And great to have you here, Esteban. Now, I understand. So Esteban and I don't know each other before our meeting. So he has created this like really cool automated system where he kind of lead gen his way and found my way. So I thought that was really interesting. So Esteban, we always ask our guests, the first question is, looking back into childhood or growing up, what incidents or people do you feel like shaped the entrepreneur who you are today?
Yeah, so when growing up, I always had this mentality, of course, where I had to have some sort of degree. And that degree that I had in mind was an engineer degree. Of course, for me, the engineer was in my mind. Oh, I'll be the engineer. I'll be that person that will be called the engineer building cars, for example, airplanes, complex systems, HVAC, whatever that is in engineering. And then I just really thought myself of having this type of recognition through university degree, but really never really saw what was like above, let's say, just moving forward, let's say 5 years or more. I really never saw ahead of my nose, call it like that. Like my nose is right here. This is what I
Like a
was being
long
told.
term, yeah,
Correct. And
vision.
then
Yeah.
really didn't see that there is so much more potential when going into the business and entrepreneurship route. So when I was actually finishing my graduation, I was super ready to just apply on jobs. I had a few internships that I did. I had a few regular jobs, and then right after the graduation, I decided to move to Toronto, which is the city that gave me the opportunity to get into the North American life, learn the lifestyle, learn the language better, and things like that. I moved back to Toronto from school in Carleton University, and this is where I got hit in the face with the job search. So looking for a job in the mechanical engineering industry in Toronto was really tough for me because Toronto is mostly tech, mostly bank and financial, mostly all these high tech companies. And if you want to see something for that career, you had to kind of like look outside of that area. And I actually had a very rough time looking for a job. And just I found myself kind of, I want to say, useless for a long period of time because I was not landing any job. My interviews would go well in my mind, but then they wouldn't land, right? I wouldn't get the job. I would get lots of interviews, but I wouldn't get the job. And my resume will never have this type of kind of historical data that employers would say this guy has experience, I'm gonna take him in. Everything that I had honestly was my right attitude. I actually started doing lead gen on my job search. If you actually search on my Excel files, I started like compiling and scraping all the jobs that I had in Toronto, potential jobs in Toronto. It was like 300, and I started
Wow.
cold calling and emailing people. And I started listening to a lot to just real estate stuff. From I want to say I started listening a lot to Marco Santorelli. I started listening a lot to Robert Kiyosaki, all podcasts, all YouTube videos of these guys, and really started to spark my interest. But of course, in Toronto at the time, I it was like, in Toronto, it's a very very expensive market. For me, it was like, okay, I gotta save somehow. I gotta make money to actually invest into real estate. I
Yeah.
didn't know any other technique or anything. And so I started driving Uber. And I started actually listening to people that would just motivate me to not let my guard down in terms of uh, there is so much more there, and you cannot just stop being consistent. The people that really sparked me that type of motivation was people like Gary Vaynerchuk and the Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
So Grant Cardone at that time was like going hard in his marketing. Like he was going hard in his YouTube, he was going hard in his podcast, going hard on that. And it happened to be also related with real estate.
Right.
Okay, real estate, multifamily, real estate investing, and I would just listen to him, and I would just do while I do Uber. I will practice talking to people. All
Oh,
right,
that's neat. Yeah.
yeah,
Talk to your customers. Yeah.
I would practice talking to people. I would enjoy those rides because I will start conversations. One thing that he always would say, for example, Grant Cardone, is that if you want to get into real estate, you need to have as many opportunities pass in front of you and see which one is the one that you're going to take.
Yeah.
And because not every opportunity is going to work for you. So I had to I had to really just push into my sales skills, my negotiation skills, just people skills, just talking.
Yeah.
And I did that during Uber, my Uber sessions. I did that for 8 months.
So it's a pretty dark period where you graduate from a college and Carleton University, and then you basically were kind of going through like, oh, I thought I'm gonna get a job, but
Yeah.
didn't really happen. How long did that happen? Like that period of time. The thing that I want to kind of highlight for our listener is like not everything is kind of smooth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually got to the city in 3 days in. I had an interview with General Electric, and it was like, for me, it was like amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I actually was in a location 5 minutes walking away from where I was staying, so it was
Yeah.
great. And then I got that denial, like that non-response, nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna use the savings that I have to purchase a car. Either way, I had to like move around the city, and I'm gonna start doing Uber. And it happened from, I want to say, from graduation stage, which is about April,
Yeah.
all the way to I want to say October. I did not get any job, and I only relied on my hustle, on doing Uber, going to networking events with the hopes of getting a job. Um, of course, you have to be prepared. Your resume, like you have to dress up, you have to do all this type of networking. I was sending out hundreds of emails and just cold calling people until I cold call actually got me a job.
Oh
I
wow.
a job that was not really related to mechanical engineering,
Yeah.
but it was really related to more sales and marketing. It was
Okay.
a technical sales engineer. That's what it was called.
Right.
Yeah, and that it was a cold call that I did to that company. They liked that I cold called. They did not have a position open, but
Yeah.
because I cold called, I opened up the position.
Oh,
because they were
nice.
like, there's this hungry guy, and there's
Yeah.
this person that just wants to go at it and ask for a job, and he's looking for a job. They started giving me a job, and it was
Mm.
a door manufacturer in Toronto, just outside Toronto, that they needed a technical sales engineer. All right.
Yeah.
So that's how I started my first thing after like long amount of months just hustling and doing it. And at the
Yeah.
time, I was still doing Uber. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So you're
So,
still working probably 15 hours a day,
oh,
including your
yes,
9 to 5 and then
yes.
drive a little bit
And,
more.
and the story also behind that is that when I was doing my cold calling, I got a free internship, non-paid internship for an entire month
Yeah.
in a heat ventilation and an HVAC company in a very similar role. But my idea was to just get experience and just I cold called the person, asked if there was a position. They said, okay, we have a project, just do an internship. Let's do a quick thing and see if it's going to work out. If we open up a position, I said, yeah, let's do it. And I would work, like you said, 15 hours. I would bike in the morning to this place, and then I would make sure I finish up the day job, finishes at 5 p.m. And after 5 p.m., I had to go back to the traffic and do
Yeah.
Uber all over
Wow.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. That's amazing. That's like some hustle that definitely kind of shaped who you are in terms of entrepreneur. And so from that job, the kind of like the daytime job perspective, how did you ended up opening up your lead gen agency?
Yeah, that's so funny because when you start putting your cables in your head and connecting different cables inside your head, that is entrepreneurship like, you start trying new things and
Hmm.
wanting to try different things to see what it works.
Right.
Really, a lot of people start without a direction, and a lot of people start trying a lot of multiple things, and that's fine because you're really discovering yourself. It was like a discovery moment. I tried doing Amazon FBA at first.
Uh-huh.
I actually purchased a course for Amazon FBA from a YouTuber that was doing really good YouTube. It did not work for me.
Yeah.
But then after a few months of trying on that and still holding a job, and this is now in Detroit. I have now moved to Detroit because with my hustle, I got a new job in Detroit in the
Uh-huh.
automotive city.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I got a call from my friend in Ottawa, Ontario, and he's
Uh-huh.
like, "You're doing something very related to what I'm doing. You may utilize your skills better here than in Amazon FBA. That it was like figure out your store and figure out the product and doing the marketing and doing this hustle for very small profits for each product sold." And a lot
Right.
of people are very successful, but I ended up getting to see the lead gen world by getting an offer on work with me for free, close some clients, get me just help me find some clients in the gym space
Yeah.
industry, real estate industry,
Cool.
law industry, and there was another industry that they had. My friend started a lead gen company
Yeah.
because what he did for a job was lead gen for another big corporation. So he started his own thing, and he's like, come work with me, and let's actually do things related to lead generation. And I was
Right.
like, what the heck is lead generation? Honestly,
Yeah.
when I was doing lead generation on job hunting, I didn't know that really what I was doing was lead generation. Like,
Right.
I would scrape companies and I would cold call and I would try to find a job.
Right.
It's lead generation.
Right.
And I was like, what the hell is a lead? Whenever I got this offer, and I was like, okay, cool, this is cool. I want to do this. And he introduced me to Facebook marketing, to like
Uh-huh.
Facebook advertising.
Right.
And you see all these big people in Facebook doing ads, crazy ads, Billie Jean, Dan Henry, the same Grant Cardone, all these people. And I was like, okay, so these people are doing all these ads to drive leads for their business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I started doing with this person from Ottawa. And I started working with his company for free
Right.
for about 3 4 months I worked for free, and just didn't have any income until like I started
How,
landing clients and
how do you
things like that.
live if you had like no income? Like how
You know
did you kind of
what?
plan for these spurt moments of like
The thing
lack
is
of
that
income?
I do believe that while you're actually building up this momentum in your entrepreneurship journey, you have to have an income. You have to have a job. You have to have something that really gives you your food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're able to compress time real quick, and whatever you do in 6 months, you can do it in 1 month, and then you start your company and you scale up real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't have that ability. So I highly suggest that while you're doing this entrepreneurship stuff, you have an income. You continue having your income, because I had a job. I
Mm-hmm.
had my engineering job that I obtained in Detroit, which allowed me to be comfortable. Like at the end of the day, I was like, if this thing fails, at the end of the day, I have a job. But of course, I had a plan A, and my plan B was still to do my plan A, right?
Right.
So my plan A was, I want to get out somehow, out of the office, even if I get a good raise, even if I get a good change of position, change of role, something,
Mm.
even if I get a promotion. And I started hustling with like these little things that started to get passionate into me,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
started to get passionate about. That's how I basically started this lead gen. I saw the opportunity with someone else that was already doing it and
Yeah.
helping him for free. And I took it. I was like, let's do it. And you don't know how many times I had to go during lunch hours to do calls, or to fix an advertising, or to fix a campaign, or to try to pitch someone on my products, while
Mm.
I was at lunch break. And after work, I would work after the gym all the way into like 12. Sometimes I would go insane and go until like 2 a.m. and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was just this little sacrifice that I had to do, that kind of led to the point where I am right now, that I would never have imagined I could have done it, because I was always having that fear of like, how can I actually make it and have a sustainable life, that I can actually have an income for next month and the next month. And I
Yeah.
continuously, because we need money to live, and I continuously create this revenue of money
Yeah.
consistently, and not have that risk, like high risk of having zero income, zero clients, zero deals, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then how long would you say? So you joined your friend's company and then you kind of helped him. How does that partnership work? I'm always like curious on this because like a lot of partnerships does not work because a certain agreement people had up in the front, and then later on they decided the compensation wasn't fair, and that's usually I don't know, like a most percentage, I wouldn't say 90% of the time, like partnership doesn't work. It's always manifested as maybe like your characteristic doesn't match or something, but oftentimes it roots down to the equal share and then the profit shares and also personality, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
This is an incredible topic. I mean, he was actually a friend from university, that always was really not at the best in school. Like he was just lacking in school, and he was not doing well in school all the time. Most of the time he had to switch programs a couple of times. So I had the trust. I had trust of him kind of building something from scratch,
Yeah.
because it's very hard for someone to build something from scratch and become an expert in something,
Mm-hmm.
um, because people are always usually all over the place. So he was very organized in business.
Yeah.
He was really really professional and everything, and gave me that confidence in going ahead and doing a handshake agreement,
Yeah.
because we did not do any type of contract.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what actually killed, if we fast track, uh
Yeah.
before I kind of like diverge into my company. That's what killed a little bit the relationship, that there was nothing set in stone or in a paper. and there was a lot of different conflicts and disagreements and expectations as well
Mm.
as we evolved and the company grew.
Yeah.
So it was at the beginning, it was a handshake agreement. It was just like, oh, let's do it. Let me just help you.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Let's just start.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, for every person that I bring in, I get 50%. And he was like, yeah, sure, fine, let's do it. All right, not a problem. And what would I do? Oh no, you'll have to do sales. You have to do lead gen. You have to do prospecting. And I was like, great, for sure. And for me, I was just all in. I was just like,
Mm.
whatever it was, I was all in. But I believe a partnership and that starts from the beginning needs to have, apart from a handshake agreement, some sort of written type of expectation from each other,
Mm. Yeah.
and written type of really roles that we will be playing out, even if it is just a one pager of like,
Right.
this is what you're gonna do in the first 90 days. This is what I'm gonna do in the first 90 days. After the 90 days, we're gonna sit down and see what happens. I
Yeah.
think that's what a partnership would have been done. That's how it would have worked,
Yeah.
because I've learned it from other agencies, other companies that started and scaled through partnerships. I did a partnership that was really just an imaginary partnership in my head, and when the company evolved and everything grew a little bit, things started changing. Like, for
Mm.
example, the way that he ran the business or that he treated clients was way different than me. The way that I was being compensated started to change, because there was actually nothing in writing.
Right.
So as I took the experience and I helped, of course, getting some clients in and everything, and fulfilling for this company, I started learning that we had made a mistake on not having something in writing during those 90 days or 120 days that I would be
Mm.
working for free,
Right.
right? It was just commission only and everything. So fortunately enough, now it has evolved where we came down to be very professional. We're okay now with each other, but at some point we had a disagreement, and we're like, okay, we're gonna part ways. I'm gonna go do my own thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's usually kind of involvements and whatnot. That's a great point, and you just kind of bring it up, Esteban. Thank you for sharing these challenges and kind of growing, like the lesson learned from that, which is making sure that you have at least some sort of agreement and sit down and carved out the roles that you're supposed to fulfill and responsibilities, accountabilities when you get into a partnerships. And as partnership grow, that it's inevitable, like any partnership results into a termination at some point, whether it's death do us apart, or whether it's
Yeah.
maybe an early exit on that, which is not necessarily all bad things, which
Yeah.
is that's just the involvement of the business. So that's great. Yeah.
I actually really recommend a book that I read recently. I haven't finished it, but the name of the book is Rocket Fuel, for people that are thinking about partnerships. If the listener here is like thinking, hey, I have this potential partner, even if it's my spouse, it's Rocket Fuel, which is the book that talks about what an integrator and a visionary does, and how each one complements to each other, and
Mhm.
how a partnership would work best when there is one of each leading the team, leading the
Mm.
whole vision.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. Yeah, Rocket Fuel by Gene Wickman, right? I believe.
Yeah.
It's basically the founder of the EOS system. That kind of it's another book from them. Great book, love that. And so Esteban, like moving forward from there, so you kind of recovered from that setback of a little bit of partnerships dissolving, etc. So now, but you kind of welcome your new chapter because you close a chapter, open a new one, and you opened up your lead gen company. Now, how is that first, I don't know, like a quarter, 90 days, half a year look like for you? Because like any business, when you first start it, a year is kind of like, I feel like the magic mark where you're going from like a make it or not make it. How did that all started? And then who are the people that you put in place?
Yeah, absolutely. So, because whenever I was doing free work, I built, of course, some sort of attention in the marketplace. I want to call it the marketplace, the community, the real estate investing community, because I started focusing on real estate investors.
Uh-huh.
I actually did some. I tried some flip myself, but I started building this type of brand, this type of awareness that I was doing Facebook ads for real estate investors and
Yeah.
Google ads. I started reaching out to people, and I focused on a lot in my own lead gen. So I started focusing in booking appointments, as many appointments as I can, and closing as many appointments as I can. But I always also valued my brand. So what really my brand, or what really people see on me as value in my company and how I portray it to others, it was very important for me to build out something. And this started probably in 2019 on June, where I started really to push my brand, and I started to make moves in social media, in Facebook groups, sharing free value, actually helping people out in questions that they had, becoming a very go giver. I was spending time in between shifts in my work. I was still having a full-time job in posting in social media, helping people on Facebook groups with things regarding lead gen, things regarding Facebook, things regarding Google Ads, even automation, all this kind of thing that I was just putting out there, and I was just doing the work myself. I was putting that work. I was having that work ethic. Right after work, I would make sure that I set a time of, let's say, at least 3 4 hours a day after my regular job, and I would set time to actually have full either campaign creation, content creation, lead gen, reaching out to people, answering inquiries, and getting to appointments, setting up appointments. This is what I focused at the beginning. And I believe I took a long period of time before I made the best decision I could have done
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
my business and for myself. And guess what that was?
What is it?
So the best decision that I actually made in order to kind of like scale up, free up my time, and multiply my efforts was
Yeah.
to hire a virtual assistant. At that time, that virtual assistant was a family member that spoke really good English.
Yeah.
Currently works right now. She's an operations specialist right now, and that virtual assistant helped me on generating more booked appointments for my own business, and so that I can close those book appointments and have an inflow of leads, right, for
Gotcha.
my own agency.
Yeah.
And so she started reaching out by standard operating procedures that I have created,
Yeah.
a document of things, and a video, also video training that I have created for her, where I show her exactly how to reach out to my prospects, how to talk to them on behalf of me, and how to set an appointment so that the next day or the day after or the day after that, we would chat about the opportunity of doing business together.
Yeah.
So making that hire, I took a long time, honestly, and I really could have done it faster, so that I don't have so much time to put into this. I want to say lead gen is something that you have to delegate to someone,
Yeah.
because you really want to focus on more high level stuff. Also, you want to really
Yeah.
focus more high level and sales and your own marketing and things like that.
And closing of
um,
deals. Yeah.
Closing deals, right? That's correct. And I took a long time to do that. It took about a year, and I know that I could have done it in just 3 months if I had the right guide and kind of like the right encouragement to do it. Because of course, at the beginning of your business, you want to keep stuff for yourself. You're a greedy machine. You're really a greedy person, because you want to take it, you want to keep the profits, you want to keep all these gains, and you want to keep all the work for yourself. So you're a greedy machine, but what you're doing is you're doing a disservice to yourself and to your growth, all right, to your
Yeah.
potential, for hiring a virtual assistant,
Yeah.
someone that helps you.
Yeah. hire people in general.
Hire
Um,
people in general.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is amazing because when I go to these business coaching sessions, the coach always says like, "Hey, you just need to figure out who you need to hire." But the student always answer the question as like, "But where do I get the money to pay for this person?" And then the teacher would say, "Well, if you find the right people, you don't worry about the money. You will come up with some way to do it, right?" So that's a very good lesson from there as well. So you have a Facebook that has over 1,500 people on there. That's a pretty good size group.
Yeah,
Um,
we're now 2,500.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
we're not. Yeah.
2,500, probably growing exponentially as we go. So do you have some best practices for people when they started their community with Facebook group? It feels like you start hitting a wall where you like have like maybe 500 leads, or if you're lucky, you grow to 1,000. But like, what are some of the tips you can share with our viewer in terms of lead gen, to create a engaging Facebook group so that it continue grow and grow in terms of the members? Yeah.
That's right. Well, to create an engagement Facebook group, of course, it has to do about the content on offers that you do inside the Facebook group. But
Yeah.
to increase the number of people that go inside your Facebook group, it's also going to depend on what you do in your profile and in other Facebook groups
Huh.
that drives engagement and drives people to comment. Let's say, for example, would you like to know? Would you like to see our five top something of something
Uh-huh.
that is creating good results for us? And
Yeah.
then if you have if you put this type of things in your own profile,
Mm.
which is not as spammy in other Facebook groups, then you would drive engagement of people that are interested in something. Then you would invite them to join the Facebook group because that's going to be like exclusive area where they get these type of things.
Value.
So
Yeah.
of course it's like a YouTube video or a Facebook. You have to have a hook. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have a hook of something, and then you have to be able to fulfill or add value or educate or someone for them to take action into going into Facebook group.
Yeah.
Now, in the Facebook groups, while you're actually have people inside, it's of course a different story. Now you have people in there and you want to keep a moderator or a moderate on the content that you have,
Mm.
but you have to be able to have a mindset of I need to post regularly,
Right.
consistently,
Right.
and I have to have different type of posts where the most posts that are going to happen are very short form, hopefully with those big letters, big fonts, with a colorful background that is going to drive people to comment in a way that drives engagement. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Usually Facebook doesn't like to have links, doesn't like to have pictures, it likes
Mm.
to have just letters, and it doesn't like also for people to say, if you do this, then and you will win this if you comment, like, and share. Doesn't like that anymore.
Huh.
Actually, Facebook can
Used to
actually
be. Yeah.
yeah, it used to be. Facebook can actually read that. So what you have to do is you have to be more clever into how are you actually requesting people to take action. All right,
Mm.
all right. And as a matter of fact, there is people out there that actually generate leads for their real estate investing business
Mm.
using Facebook groups, which is really amazing because they go to, let's say, a Facebook group that is, let's say, buy and sell and trade
Mm.
locally, and they would put things like, I'm looking for a fixer upper, no matter the condition, to buy within the next 5 to 7 days.
Right.
Let me know below. And whenever people see this and the Facebook algorithm helps you, and it's going to show it to those people, right? It's going to
Mm.
show it to those people that are ultimately interested in something like that. So you have to be able to also in your own Facebook group to have things that are ultimately driving the attention of people. Hopefully there is some free value there. Hopefully there's, if you're for example going to go live about showing what you're going to do, an
Mm,
event, a product, or something. You want to make sure that you nurture those people, and you have to uh, make sure that you create a compound attention
mm,
towards that type of event
yeah,
by having these type of posts. That
gotcha.
is definitely some good practices.
Yeah. And then in terms of if you were running events or conferences or webinar, because now it's a very common thing, people are running webinar, knowledge-based webinar to kind of drive the lead gen traffics to that for registered user. These are usually a little bit more engaged users. So what would you say like top tips on like running these campaign leading up to these events? Like how much ahead do you like needed to start marketing for let's say a regular Thursday night webinar that happens once a month. Yeah.
So how much ahead? I want to say that you want to start 2 weeks ahead, and I want to say that you start 2 weeks ahead. You do a light type of promotion,
Yeah.
and then 1 week in, then you start doing it every day, where you are actually giving away, or you're adding type of value, or asking people if they like to see specific topic or that is really interesting for individuals.
Yeah.
And then if people are looking to get that type of topic covered, then say, hey, let me know below, or things like that, with even with a hand emoji. And for the people that respond and things like that, you always want to post the link to the webinar as a comment, never post it in the actual post itself, because that was going to kill engagement. All right.
Gotcha.
So you want to start at least 2 weeks ahead of the game whenever you have a webinar. But of course, if you start 1 month earlier, that is super healthy as well. But having very light promotion about it, and having some sort of we call it FOMO, this FOMO, fear of missing out
Right.
type of posts, where we're actually creating some sort of hype about whatever it is that we're going to present 1 month before, whether you're going to launch a podcast, whether you're going to launch a some sort of webinar event, sale, in-house event or something. For example, like recently, what I did was I posted something that is going to happen in the podcast that I'm going to launch on October 13. I actually mentioned the people that are going to be in my podcast, and these people are heavy hitters. So these heavy hitters in real estate investing, I said, I am so pleased that we're gonna have this person, this person, this person. I tag them, and then because people love talking about themselves, people love actually getting uh, into this, like, oh, this is me type of criteria. Then I
Right.
asked who. We're going to bring this type of $1 million nuggets into our podcast for real estate investors. Who else would like to participate, or like who else do you think it would like to be part of this podcast that will bring
Yeah.
in
That's smart.
this
Yeah.
$1 million nuggets?
Yeah.
And people not only like talking about themselves, but also like tagging other people that
Yeah.
think that they are good at it. So it ended up resulting in having a good engagement and things like that. And I've done this type of posts in order to just promote what I'm trying to bring, like in 2 weeks out or things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. These are great ideas. I'm gonna steal some of these and then implement
Absolutely.
myself too. So Esteban, you mentioned about you also invest in real estate.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about, you now have a very successful lead gen operation. You kind of mostly target your audience are like wholesalers, helping wholesalers to finding deals, and also flippers and etc. So, like, how do you actually ended up being a real estate investor?
Yeah, so I ended up being a real estate investor by really going into this 3 day event from Fortune Builders, and just opening my eyes of what could have happened. And I remember that 2 3 weeks after, I was already taking action into purchasing our first property to flip. And we had two different ideas, whether it was to flip this property for a profit, or keep this property.
Mm-hmm.
However, we really like the idea of flipping a property and keeping a profit for our first type of project.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to do this in Detroit. So I tried to do this the wrong way too. I actually uh, I partnered up with two other people that, one of them was a general contractor. The other one was another person from Chrysler
Yeah.
at the time that he was very operational, so it was great. And me,
Mm-hmm.
I was just a visionary type of person. But we didn't do our homework. We purchased a property from the land bank in Detroit.
Oh.
So purchasing a property from the land bank in any city, for example in Detroit, it means that you're telling the city that you are purchasing this house or this property that you're actually bidding on an auction, because you're going to live in there, because
Oh.
the land bank, the county wants
Requirements.
wants
Yeah.
you to live there, because they're looking to revitalize the neighborhood. They're looking to bring more residents come
Mm.
to live in the city. There is a lot of push towards people to do that, especially in cities like Detroit that has a lot
Mm-hmm.
of abandoned homes. And um and we didn't read the fine lines of saying of that says, hey, this is not going to work out
Mm-hmm.
for a flip, because you couldn't transfer the ownership of the property, the title
Right.
of the property, into like 3 years after you purchase it.
Yeah.
So it was not a good investment, even though the property costs only, it was in a bidding auction that we did was like about 13K. It was
Yeah.
only 13K, but of course it needed to be gutted. It needed to be like
Right.
completely fixed. That was our biggest lessons learned, and my biggest lessons learned at the beginning, because I did try to like get into that real estate investing and flipping at
Mm.
that point, but we didn't read the fine lines there. We lost some money. It was about 10 to 20% that we lost
Mm.
on the purchase of a property, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into helping real estate investors and getting into this world, helping cash buyers also find direct to owner lead gen, and doing lead gen to direct to owner.
Mm.
And I started investing in properties in Detroit. And I also
Mm.
started investing recently, for example, started investing in properties in my own country.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm from Colombia, I'm from South America. We have, for example, a new condo. Well, it's not new, it's pretty old, but it's a new acquisition that we had. It's a condo that actually it was seller financed. We,
Mm-hmm.
we we use creative financing to acquire the property, and we made sure that we seller finance to the owners of the property. It was like family. Well, they recently had a some sort of partially inherited property,
Yeah.
uh, and then we took over the basically the property by offering them paying in a specific installments and
Mm-hmm.
terms for a specific period of time. And now we own that property. Basically, it was for free, but we have to pay them on a monthly basis now. I think it's like 15 years that we set, and we don't have any interests
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. So it's 0% that we negotiated.
Nice.
Yeah. And now we're going to rehab it, and that one is going to be potentially a rental or Airbnb.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good. And I have some properties right now in Detroit uh that we're doing rehabs. Actually, we have a project manager there that is managing everything for me basically.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is I am the investor that puts the money in there. I make sure that they have the money and everything, all the resources that they need, and the project manager is the one that is taking care of the general contractors, and leads the team, the subcontractors, all this kind of stuff. And once the project is done, once the rehab is done and we
Yeah.
sell it, we cash out, and that's what we're doing right now.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. So it's kind of really play in the lead gen into a parallel business, which generates some leads for you, but also helping you connecting with other real estate investors to
Yeah,
do bigger, better
absolutely.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Esteban, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or like whatever the midterm is for you? You know,
Oh
where are
my
you
God.
thinking about taking this thing to?
You know
Yeah.
what? 5 years is, I think, a long time for an entrepreneur
Mm,
because so much can be done in 1 year. Trust me, like
right.
so much. So I think I see myself in 5 years by retiring my parents. That has to be done. I would retire my parents. I'll make sure that they live a nice life, and I have this very this is not the selfish goal. This is a selfless goal that I have. I want to retire my parents. I want to have the most amount of family members working with me in my company or the companies that I create, so that they're part of this success journey that I want to create. Okay. Now, in order to retire my parents in Colombia, it doesn't take the same amount of money to retire my parents here in the US.
Right.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
I want to have a an office of whatever business that I have in South America. I live right now in the US. I've been in the US for already 3 years and a half. I love the US. I'm going to stay in the US. I am an American resident and everything. But I want to have an office in South America so that I can profit well. Okay, have a good
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
a very good team. I don't know how large it's gonna get, but I want to have a some sort of just headquarters down there in Medellin, Colombia. And of course, I would like to accomplish the goal that I have for 2022 of serving at least 2,000 real estate investors. All
That's
right.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
want to serve at least 2,000 real estate investors. I don't know how. I know I'm going to do it. I believe there's so many things that I can offer and that I can actually add value to real estate investors that I think it's something doable.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
want to have also at least, I want to say 15 to 25 units in multifamily.
Nice.
That's one of my goals. Multifamily. I see myself owning even an entire apartment complex. I see myself doing that. Doesn't matter where, as long as it's a good deal, cash flows real well. I want to have that.
That's awesome. These are really clear goals, which is amazing to kind of hear because you need to know where your ship is kind of sailing to before you kind of adjust it and getting it to there. That's amazing. What are the things that you are kind of giving back? You kind of talked a little bit about helping your parents retire, the communities, etc. So, in the long term perspective, do you see things that you're kind of giving back, to help the communities where you come from, and etc. Like over there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I know the importance of giving back because it has allowed me to create this really good ball of energy that at the end of the day helps me grow internally, spiritually, and also helps my business as well. So I like to make sure I find either an association or I find some project where I help people that are trying to just get out there educated, even just to have education, even just to have the willpower of knowing that there's just so much more there, um, in whatever stage that you are. And hopefully it focuses on very low income, very low mindset type of cultures or families or type of or even countries that can take really good steps towards owning a business the proper way, entrepreneurship, and even real estate. I want to have this type of give back in my lifetime and create that type of legacy. That's something I want to do. But in the meantime, I want to give back to real estate investors with the knowledge that I've had. So, for example, this podcast that I'm creating right here, it really gives me the opportunity to give back my lessons as a business owner, growing my agency in the last 1 year and a half, where I went full time or something like that, from 0 to 100, which
Yeah.
is because it's literally that
Yeah.
our agency this month literally hit 100.
Nice.
So
Congrats.
we
Yeah.
thank you. So I want to be able to somehow become of an influence for other people that are just struggling, right?
Mm.
And that's something that I really find fulfillment on,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that I like.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Esteban, how does people find you and the Hesel Media?
Yeah. So if you want to find me on Instagram, my personal Instagram is called Estenic. So Estenick. So at Estenic, you're gonna find me there. You're gonna see me in Instagram, social media, as well as Facebook. Facebook, you're gonna be able to join our group of REI marketing and conversion mastery that we have created. It's a free group. Just join in right there. We usually put very valuable posts. We're going to also put podcasts with other real estate investors that are doing $1 million a year or more, that found their way into real estate investing. So we have a podcast there too, as well. And we actually have exclusive content of the podcast being put there before the podcast is launched. So you're going to be having first tips. And at the same time, if you want to go to our website, heselmedia.com, HESEL media.com.
Yeah.
You can also book an appointment with us and my team, and I'll be happy to talk to you about whether you want to do inbound lead generation, PPC, Google Ads, Facebook Ads for your real estate investing business, that it's active, or whether that's passive, doesn't matter, but mostly active, and see how we can help. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome, Esteban. Thank you so much for sharing that resources and also you really candid, life stories and learning from there. It's amazing to like interview today. Yeah,
Thank you, Elisa. It was so fun and so great to meet you. I hope that at some point we can network and mastermind in
yeah,
person. That would be
yeah.
great.
That would be awesome when I'll for sure. Well, thank you so much for our listeners. This kind of wraps up another episode of 10,000 Words to Financial Independence. Definitely check out Esteban's resources down below on the screen. We're going to put that on the YouTube and post it, the resources. And then check out his media lead gen agency that could help you to kind of get to the number of the leads that you needed to get your job done. All right. Thank you. This wraps up another episode. Bye.